Welcome to Midlife Moves, where we're figuring out this whole midlife thing one day, one workout, and one what the hell just happened moment at a time. I'm Heather, and if you're navigating career shifts, fitness goals, parenting teenagers, or just wondering when the hell we became the grown-ups, you're in the right place. Let's talk about the real stuff, no filters, just honest conversations and a little bit of chaos. Let's get into it. Hi. I'm Heather Francis, and welcome back to another episode of Midlife Moves. Today, we're going to talk about something that touches so many of us, either directly or indirectly, especially in midlife. And I don't think it's something that just touches us in midlife. I think we're just more conscious of it in midlife, and like in this time frame when we're getting to know our bodies better, and we're really tapping into how we feel. And I think that we're just more conscious of it. Alcohol, our drinking habits. How we use it, how we question it, and what it means to possibly let go of it. I'm going to walk you through my experience with alcohol, which is something that when I started planning this episode, I knew that I was going to do. And now that I'm actually recording it, I'm questioning my decision here, to be totally honest. It doesn't matter. When have I ever not shared something on this show that is uncomfortable for me? Let's just get into it, right? My relationship with alcohol it's cyclical. There are periods in my adult life where I drank a lot, and there are periods in my adult life that years went by and I didn't touch it. And I just would put it down and just walk away from it and be like, I need to take a step back. But the periods that I would drink a lot, they've changed as the years have gone on. Like when I was younger, I would drink a lot. My husband and I would drink a lot of beer or, whatever. We would, go party and binge drink probably, and then we had all these kids. And so that obviously, that wasn't going to work anymore. So I'm sure for a while, we stopped then. And then there was a time that I started drinking a lot. I was under a lot of stress at work, and there was a lot of stress at home. Like the kids were not challenging, but a lot. We have 4 kids. It's a lot of kids. And my marriage was functional at best. And, I just wasn't satisfied. And my work was super stressful. I was working 16, 70 hours a week. I was just barely getting by. So I was drinking a lot during that time. And I remember one day my husband's friend came over and they were talking. They had a conversation, and I drank a bottle of wine while they were talking on the couch, just by myself, just drank a bottle of wine. The kids were in bed. And I remember thinking oh, girlfriend, you need to go drink a bottle of water and get your shit together. And so I did. And that was there was a time after that I didn't drink at all. But during that time, I was drinking, I was drinking a lot. I can remember a dinner that I went to that I drank too much at. And so I couldn't take my daughter afterwards to an event that she was supposed to go to. She probably doesn't remember it. Nobody probably remembers it, but I remember it. And just the shame that was associated with that action, I stopped drinking after those couple episodes for a couple years. And then COVID happened. And let me tell you about COVID. Let me tell you what time I started drinking during COVID. First of all, I discovered wine.com because you couldn't go to the store. You couldn't just go to the store and get anything. So I ordered wine and by the case, and I had it delivered, and I would pour a glass of wine. Now, as the years went on, my tolerance diminished, especially after the brain injury. After my brain injury, I could have a glass of wine at best. 2. If I have 2 glasses of wine, I'm done for days. So after the COVID time frame, it's not like I was drinking a bottle of wine again. I was still drinking 2 glasses starting at 3:00 in the afternoon. And for me, that was I am not functional. You were not getting anything reasonable out of me after that. I would get dinner made, and then I was done. I'd be falling asleep on the couch, and there was a time that my friend came over to drop something off, and I remember standing outside with her 6 feet apart, and just thinking, can she? It was 4:00 in the afternoon, and I remember thinking, can she tell that I've been drinking? And of course she could, because a couple of years later I said something to her, and she was like, "Oh, well, you were slurring," Soon after that, I stopped drinking. And I stopped drinking for a few years. I didn't touch it again. And then I went on vacation with my mom. I had a couple glasses of wine, and then I started drinking again. And that was about a year ago. Today, my relationship with alcohol is fairly healthy. Like, I'll have a glass of wine at the end of the day if I'm making dinner or something, and I don't have anything else to do. I'll have a glass of wine. If I go out to dinner, I'll generally have a glass of wine if somebody can drive me home, because if I have one glass, if I have anything, I don't drive. That was just kind of like always a hard and fast rule that the law, but also like I was not ever one of those people that was like, oh, I can have a glass of wine and then drive. One glass of wine and I'm like on the floor, or at least falling asleep. I'm tired after a glass of wine, honestly. So right now it's pretty contained. Like it's in a pretty healthy space, but that's not to say that it's going to stay in that space forever. Like I might have this conversation in 6 months and be like, oh, well, I'm having like one glass is leading to two glasses, which is leading to every day that one glass leads to two glasses. And I just I can't kick it. Like I'm constantly going to the wine store. I'm worrying about like, can I get wine today? Do we have wine? That could change. So I guess like my relationship with alcohol has always been cyclical. Sometimes it's fine and sometimes it's not. And then there's, and then I pull back and I'm like, oh, we're just going to prove to ourselves that we don't have a problem. Now, there are some people that don't have the ability to pull back. I think that having those conversations with yourself and wondering like, is this too much drinking? Even if it's not too much drinking, like this drinking, like having this glass of wine at night, like, why do I do this? Like, it doesn't add anything to my life. And in reality, it doesn't add anything to my life. I feel like shit afterwards. Like I generally feel sluggish in the morning. I start to feel bloated. And if you see what I wear to the gym, I wear very little things. So when I'm drinking too much, like you can see it on my body. The shame though, that I feel when I start to drink every day is something that I don't really understand, but I know that it's present. And I know that I'm not the only one that does that, because my husband has expressed the same thing to me. And other people have expressed the same feelings to me. Like, it's not that I'm drinking too much. It's just that I feel horrible about myself when I'm doing it. And I think that that's a very human reaction. Like that's superhuman, right? Like that's something that we can all identify with. And I think sometimes we can pull back on our own and we can kind of just like rationalize, okay, like this is unhealthy. I'm going to adjust this myself. Sometimes we can't do that. Sometimes we need a little bit of help and we don't want to go the 12-step program route, right? So that's why I'm excited about the interview that you're going to hear today. Today, you're going to hear me talk to Heather Lowe. Heather made it her mission to help women get curious about their relationship with alcohol without shame or labels. She is the founder of Ditched the Drink. She's a certified professional life and recovery coach, and she is a leading voice in the sober, curious movement. She's helped many, many women rethink their relationship with alcohol and reclaim clarity, confidence, and connection. Heather is she was legitimately one of the funniest people that I talked to. She has so much personality. I loved every minute of talking to her. And honestly, I still talk to her on Instagram often. If I needed a program, I would go with Heather, because she's just she just loves being sober, and she loves spreading that message and like helping other women through that. More women than ever are understanding the risks associated with alcohol. A lot of us were coming up in like that wine mom culture and that wine mom time where it was like the cool thing to do to go drink, right? Like the cool thing to do was to fill up your water bottle with wine and then joke about it and, drink the whole fucking thing. It was the cool thing to do, like that whole wine mom thing. I fell into it. I was very much, haha, like, look at this, look at the bottle of the case of wine that I ordered. Look, my favorite order came in. Do you know what my favorite order that comes in now? It's a case of balsamic vinegar. That's how my life has changed. Anyway, before I get into this interview with Heather, if anybody is interested in her services, you can go to her website, ditchedthedrink.com. And if you use the code Midlife Moves, it'll give you 10% off. Okay, so ditchedthedrink.com. Use the code Midlife Moves. We'll put all this in the show notes. We'll make sure all of Heather's contact information is also in the show notes, and we put it up on the Insta. And without further ado, here's Heather Lowe from Ditch the Drink. Let's get into it. Hey, listeners, it's Heather here with a quick message before we get into the rest of the episode. I have been blown away by the level of support from you guys. I love seeing how much the topics resonate with all of you and hearing how the episodes make you feel seen. I genuinely appreciate the outpouring of support from everyone. If you've been enjoying the show, there are a few ways you can continue to support the podcast and the team behind it. If you aren't already, follow us on Instagram at the Midlife Moves Podcast. For more behind-the-scenes info on the show and our guests, check out our website, midlifemoves.co. Reviews go a long way. I'd really appreciate a rating and a review on the podcast platform of your choice. And finally, check out the merch store. It's a fantastic way to rep the podcast and help support the team that makes these episodes possible. We've got some great designs for t-shirts and totes available there. Thank you all again so much, and enjoy the rest of the episode. Heather Lowe, thank you so much for joining me on Midlife Moves today.
What a pleasure. What a delight. I am thrilled to be here. And I always say, our topic can be tricky, it can be touchy, it can be sensitive, it can be controversial. And the fact that you are so open to discussing it and having a conversation about it, I have all the admiration and respect for you. And I love it. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are secretly questioning things. And so I love to bring it out in the open. And I'm so grateful for folks with a platform to be willing to address this topic. So thank you so much.
I think that this is really important. And like when you and I talked initially, we kind of had the conversation, not everyone is ready to have this conversation and not everyone is ready to listen to something like this. But there are a lot of people who are, and it's kind of like going through their heads. And maybe I do want to do something about this, but I don't really have a problem. What is this? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say to any listener who's already delete, shut down, find something else to listen to, stay curious, stay with me, stay curious. There might be some things that you haven't heard before, and there might be a different way to start exploring this. And I think, honestly, the resistance to the topic is because in the past, you're either this or you're that, right? Let's say you're an alcoholic or you're not. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to be an alcoholic. So if I didn't say I was, then I wasn't. Or if I kept drinking, I wasn't. If I quit drinking, then I have to wonder if I'm an alcoholic. So I think our society and the language around it has created a lot of resistance to wanting to explore because you're afraid if you pull that thread where it might lead.
Yeah. And I kind of jumped right in, but why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit more about yourself and your story? What brought you to this space?
Yeah. So I was born in Wisconsin. My parents met in a beer tent. And so I was destined to have an alcohol problem. My dad was a bartender, and in small town Wisconsin, alcohol was part of everything, always. I didn't know sober people. It was part of everything. It was the culture, right? So I had my first drink at 12 years old, which feels alarmingly young now looking back, but at the time, kind of par for the course, not a big deal, and I loved it. And I grew up then through high school, went to parties, drank in barns and in fields, and I loved to socialize. I loved to chase boys. I had a lot of friends. It was a lot of fun. I loved music. I loved partying. So it was perfect. I was a perfect match for that. And it was great. And it was, like I said, par for the course, very regular, very normal. Went to college, got a fake ID. Now I was partying in clubs and bars like a grown-up, again, chasing boys, listening to music, hanging with my friends. I loved it. It all looked very, very normal.
Yeah. Yeah. As it does.
Yeah. Again, we party schools, Wisconsin, good timing. It didn't look like a problem. However, I will say, I kept a journal my whole life, from middle school on. And looking back, when I was 21, my 21st birthday was my golden birthday. Of course, I went to Panama City for spring break. It's in March. And, partied my head off and got a tattoo and all the things that you do. But I wrote when I was 21 years old, the legal drinking age, that I was scared I was an alcoholic. not to be a spoiler, even though my drinking looked like everybody else's, it looked very normal. And not to be a spoiler alert, but 21 years later, when I was 42, is when I actually quit drinking. And so, what I know now, being a sober coach, is that people question their drinking for an average of 11 years before they do anything about it. And for me, it was 21. Like, I always knew I liked alcohol a little bit more. I had complete FOMO. I wanted to go out all the time. I never wanted to miss out on anything. If there was a $3 pitcher special at the bar, I was there. If it was free peanut night, I was there. Like, I always wanted to be out and about. I didn't know how to sit with myself. And so I loved to stay busy and party and stay around people and keep it going. I never wanted a party to end. And I could hang, to be honest. I could go to the after party. I could, I could still hang.
Yeah. But I think also when we were younger, a lot of because my kids don't have a lot of those experiences. I think social media has kind of prevented some of that now. Because my kids don't do that at all. And I said, don't you want to go get drunk in a field somewhere? Don't you want to have those experiences? And they were like, no. What's wrong with you? Because that's what we did too. We were teenagers and we would go into a parking lot.
Anywhere. Yeah, a sand
Anywhere.
pit. We would go to a sand pit. I think it's your parents' drug. That's why I think it's your parents' drug. I think it's old, and I think the conversation is changing, perhaps. And we know now some things we didn't know then. So, anyways, I was encouraged to drink. I secretly questioned it. And in fact, the irony is, in college, I got a degree in social work, and I worked midnight to 8 a.m. I worked nights at a halfway house for criminal women who were in trouble for using drugs and alcohol.
Oh, did you? So how old were you when that happened?
Yeah. So I was like
just out of college.
Yeah. During college.
During college.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think if I worked there when I went out with a fake ID, probably. But even when I was 21. So the thing is, I had a little taste of sobriety because if I had to work at midnight, I had to stay awake. So I would often go out with friends and not drink. I would go out at 10 and hang out till midnight, and then I would go to my job. So I would be out in the bars not drinking, and those were the best nights of my life because I had my wits about me. I was fresh as a daisy. I was clean. I was just and actually that's when I got attention from a lot of guys. And then later I would see them on the weekend, and then I'd be drunk and I'd be needy and I'd be messy, and I wouldn't be as cool as I was when they saw me on Wednesday night or whatever. So I had a taste of being sober and social, and I actually really liked it, but I wouldn't connect that for years later. So I graduated with a degree in social work. I met my husband in college in a bar. Obviously, where all great love stories start.
I met my husband in a bar too.
Of course, right? Yeah, we're celebrating 23 years of marriage. So, and I thought he was far too delayed. We've been together. We've been together since we've been together for forever, since I was 20 years old. We got married. We moved to Chicago, and then we got jobs. And where we worked, they hired a lot of new grads. So it was kind of like the college after college. So now we had an apartment. We were playing house. We had money because we had full-time corporate jobs, and we had a new group of friends to go to happy hour with, to go to Cubs games with, go to see music and dinner. And now I wasn't drinking cheap ass beer. I was drinking a little bit better things, right? So, and I was having a little more fun with it. And I was legally able to be in bars, and I could go do these events. And again, it was social. It was fun. Felt like part of the job in a wonderful way. And I loved it. No problem. Yeah. Then I had kids. I didn't drink during my pregnancy, but after the babies were born, a little bit of wine in the afternoon felt very European. I felt classy and sophisticated by doing that. I felt like I was still playing house, And so my husband and I decided that he would work and I would work part-time, and I would be home part-time when the kids were young. And we made this choice, either of us could have worked full-time and either of us could have been home part-time. Both of us are equal at parenting and working or whatever, but I felt like I was breastfeeding, and when the babies were little, as the mom, I wanted to be the one to be there. So I chose that. And so my husband traveled a lot for work. And it was hard to be home. I was burning the candle at both ends, right? I was trying to be promoted in my job and do a good job at work, and I was trying to take care of everything at home with two little babies. And I was really lonely because my husband was gone, and you're held hostage in your house when you have kids. My social life was over. I wasn't going
Yeah.
to Cubs games or happy hours or dinners or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was bath time. It was dinner time, bath time, bedtime routine. And staring down the barrel of that after a working day, I wanted a little something to take the edge off. So a little bit of wine kind of helped get me through that. It was
Mm-hmm.
the height of mommy wine culture. This was
Mm-hmm.
encouraged everywhere I looked. And
Yeah.
I loved it. It made me feel normal, you
Yeah.
know? I thought it was hilarious, these jokes. Forever 21 just sell yoga pants and wine. I was like, that's
Yes.
hilarious. That's me.
Yeah. Put a bar in Target.
Definitely. There were purses where you could have wine. There was a place in your shower to hold wine. You could get a dish towel that said, they wine, I wine. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was all about it. I loved
Yeah.
it. It normalized and affirmed and minimized everything that I was doing. It made it feel very, very normal. Where inside, again, I had always had that inner knowing ever since I was very young. Like, my dad had drinking issues just growing up in the drinking. Like, I just always knew I liked it more than most. I needed it more than most. I had like almost a compulsion about wanting it. I couldn't have fun without it. Like I would never the other thing is if I met somebody who didn't drink, I would interrogate them. I was like, not even on holidays? Like, are you married? Do you have friends? Like, what do you do? If you don't drink, like, what do you do? I don't
Yeah.
understand. And I was like, I was so curious
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
had no idea what you would do if you didn't drink. I had always just drank.
Yeah. So then that brings you to a transitional point.
Yeah. Well, what happened is, okay, so when my little one went to kindergarten, it was like I took a full-time job. I got
Mm-hmm.
recruited for a big-time job where I had a team of people that reported to me. It was downtown. My previous job was part-time with tons of flexibility to work from home, or baby has a doctor's appointment, I just work from home. Somebody's got an ear infection, I'll just
Yeah.
work from
Right.
home. Like I had all this flexibility. The new job was not flexible at all. And when I was interviewing for the position, my dad died unexpectedly. And so I thought by not taking the job, I would be using that death as an excuse. So I took the job. After my first week on the job, I broke my leg, slid on ice in Chicago. Again, the job had no flexibility. So I was hobbling downtown with a broken leg in January in Chicago and really burning the candle at both ends. It was early morning events and late night events. And because I was in a leadership position, I was expected to be everywhere all the time, and there were happy hours every night. And I was a sales position. And you can get access to decision makers in a bar or at a networking event that you can't in the office. So drinking was part of the job. In fact, one of the first things that we did on that job, it was a new leadership team. We all went to a weekend retreat, and we all drank we all arrived hungover, and we all drank our faces off all weekend. And the president of the company drank more than anybody. So this was the way to fit in. This was the way to belong. So what would happen is in 3 years, I would lose my dad and two friends that were my age, and I would do eulogies for all three of those people. And all of them were out of order, and all of them were without warning. And so my grief changed my drinking to what started to not look normal. Like up until I knew I drank and I liked it up until that point, but it started to change to like self-medication for grief because I did the eulogies. I told myself when the services were over to get over it. And I never
Mm-hmm.
let myself feel anything because I wanted to do a really good performance of
Mm-hmm.
eulogy. Like I didn't allow myself to crumble or release or cry, or I mean, I'm sure I cried a little, but I wouldn't let myself fully feel it because I just wanted to hold it together to do a really good job for them. And I did
Yeah.
a really good job for them. I got really good feedback. And then the services were done, and I thought that my timeline for grief was over. So just shut it down. But obviously, that's not how, now I know that's not how it works. So, anyways, drinking really was my helper. It's like,
Right.
put the kids to bed, stay on the couch and drink more and more and more. And
Yeah.
because one glass of wine now I know the neuroscience behind it, but the person that doesn't have a drink wants a drink. The person that has one drink wants two. The person that has two wants three, right? Like that's just the nature of it. So I was drinking more. I was needing more. My tolerance was increasing. And it was getting uglier, I suppose, right? I was getting messier and sloppier and all this. So, and I didn't like that job, so I got a new job. And I didn't like that job, so I got a new job. I wasn't happy anywhere with anything. I was miserable. And you could see it. My face, I was becoming so bloated. I didn't recognize myself in the mirror. And I hated myself. I was drinking every day, waking up hungover, punching myself in the face, and dragging myself through the day until it would get to the time where I could have a drink. And then it would take a little of the pressure off of me. I would feel a little release, a little lift, a little uptick that I hadn't felt all day. That first drink would give it to me, and then I would overdo it, and I rinse and repeat this for, probably like a decade. So
Right.
it was just survival, and I was unhappy, and I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I thought alcohol was my helper, was the thing helping me. What happened is I was having such bad anxiety, of course, and so what I thought was a panic attack in an emergency situation, I called my company's employee assistance program, and I thought this was like an emergency. And through a series of phone calls and holds and transfers and this or that, and I asked for somebody, a therapist with substance use experience. I wanted specifically about that. I was ready to tell somebody, I think I'm drinking too much. And after all these phone calls and all this paperwork in the middle of this panic attack feeling, they were like, great, in 2 weeks, come into our office. So I waited. 2 weeks later, I was a different person, of course, but I got in the office and I told her I thought I had a drinking problem. And the therapist told me I didn't have a drinking problem. I just had an anxiety problem. So I could take these pills and I could continue drinking and everything would be okay. And if the biggest problem was my kids, that was the thing I was worried about. I really tried to hide my drinking from them. And I tried to wait until they go to bed and stuff. But honestly, your kids are on to you, right? They
Yeah.
know stuff.
They know everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So my biggest fear was what they had seen me drink too much and they knew I was unhappy and I didn't want to give them that energy. So I think what the therapist was trying to do was maybe like a harm reduction strategy. So to drink where the kids wouldn't see it. So she literally suggested that I drink in my closet. I have a big bonus room off my bedroom. That's a closet. It's a room above the garage. That's my closet. So she said, drink in there and don't let the kids see it. So I skipped out of there, delighted. I called everybody. Guess what? I don't have a drinking problem. I have an anxiety problem. Now I have pills for anxiety and I can keep drinking. Everything is fine. And this expert.
All I have to do is hide in the closet.
Right. And I'll just be drinking over here. So I'd put my wine bottle like in my knee-high boots, hide it in there, and then just tip it a little bit and then go back out and read a book or, whatever it is I need it to do. Like problem solved. This is great. Well, imagine how this went. Okay. So the truth is now my drinking got messier because before the medication, I kind of knew how much I would drink to get me to what point, right? With the medication, I was turning into a walking blackout without hardly drinking anything. I couldn't gauge or judge. And then there were moments when it was public, right? Like I have a Memorial Day story, which I would call rock bottom story, which is just I was publicly drunk after a weekend of drinking in the middle of the day. And I didn't do anything necessarily. I just was sloppy and it was midday and I went and passed out.
Yeah.
And so I should have quit drinking then. It would take me 6 more months before my final day one. But in between this time, I did some drinking, on off drinking, like sober experiments. And my first one, I tried to go 100 days without drinking. And I went 70 days and I thought I was cured. So, of course, I went back to drinking because I never wanted to quit drinking. For me, death by alcohol would be the worst case scenario. Sobriety would be the second worst case scenario. So I was trying to avoid sobriety by all costs. I just wanted to reset myself, drink a little less, get it in check, I wanted to keep drinking as much as I wanted. I just didn't really want the consequences. And I really didn't want anyone else to notice,
Yeah.
So for 3 years, I would drink and not drink, take time off, drink again, through that whole game. And the thing, though, that those experiments taught me was when I didn't drink and my head hit the pillow at night, I felt so good about myself. And then when I would wake up with no hangover, I felt so good about myself again.
Yeah.
So I was starting to develop this relationship with myself that I had never had before. I had started to keep my promises, and I started to tune in, and I started to hear what I had to say. And with drinking, I always said every feeling I felt was wrong, every thought I had was bad, and I would just pour alcohol on it to ignore it. And then in the sober experience, I go, what if what I'm feeling is okay? How would I take care of myself through that feeling? And what if my thought is my thought and I can manage myself through that?
Right.
And so I was really becoming stronger with myself. My relationship to myself was becoming so beautiful. I couldn't deny it. I couldn't deny feeling better. So that kind of was setting the path. My last day one was a very regular day. I was in between jobs yet again, totally miserable, full of grief, completely disconnected from my husband. And I always thought he was probably the problem, not wine. If I had to pick one of those things to be the problem, I blamed him. So we were out to dinner.
As we do.
Yeah, right. It's obviously their fault. And so I was like drinking at him, basically. It was like, if you weren't like this, then I wouldn't have to drink so much. I do everything, that whole thing. And so I was trying to reconnect with him. So we went to dinner and we had a babysitter for our kids, and it was a white tablecloth kind of place that was a nice steakhouse with Frank Sinatra in the background and escargot on the menu. And I ordered my Pinot Noir, and I was trying to reconnect with him, and I told him just how depressed I was and how anxious and unhappy I was feeling. I was between jobs. I didn't know what to do with myself. Life was hard and I needed his help. And he said, well, that's not helping. And he pointed to my wine. And I was mad as hell about that. Like, how dare you? I'm like, this is the only thing that is helping.
Yeah.
And just to spite him, I didn't have another drink through dinner. We clanged our silverware and didn't really talk. And we were sweet and funny to the waiter and then silent and angry between us. And we went home, and I left my glass there half full, which I've never done in my entire life. And we went home, and the next day we went to bed mad. And the next day I woke up and was like, I don't see a future for myself with alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen to my marriage, to be honest, but I don't see a future for myself with or without my husband. What am I going to do with drinking? I can't be alone in drinking like this, and I can't be with him in drinking like this. And my husband is as loyal as a golden retriever. He is change adverse. He was likely not going to leave me. It would take a lot because he's not that kind of guy, Yeah. But I just could see where this was headed. We were disconnected. I was miserable. And with or without him, what was I going to do with alcohol? So I told him I quit. And I was willing to do everything in the world that I had not been willing to do in my experiments before. Like my biggest fears were rehab or AA. Those were the things I wanted to avoid. And this last time I was like, I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at it. Like, I have to quit drinking, and I'm willing to do whatever it is I have to do, even all those things I don't want to do, right? Yeah. And it turned out I didn't use AA, and I also didn't use rehab, and I did quit drinking, and I'm 7+ years alcohol free. So I figured out a way to do that, but it was this big surrender of like, it's not working for me. I need help. I'm a strong, independent woman. I didn't want to have to ask for help. But I did need help. And I got sober day by day, building my emotional resilience, learning how to take care of myself, putting in new rituals and routines and things that brought me back to myself, right? A return to who I'd always been. And it was hard. It was so hard. And it was so twitchy. And my emotions were all over the place. But it got better. And then it got better. And then it got better. And then it got beautiful. And then I wanted to spread this to the whole world. So I started Ditch the Drink, my company. I put everything that I did into a digital course. And then I got trained as a certified recovery and life coach for women. Then I started coaching women. And now I've been awarded Best Coach by Life Coach Foundation, Best Coach by Life Coach Magazine. Like now I go on stages and speak. Now I have an Instagram following and an email list, which started with my mom and my husband.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And my email address and my other email address. I was writing
Yeah,
myself a
right.
newsletter every week, and then one day
Yeah.
a stranger signed up and I was so excited.
Yeah.
And my mom was the first person to sign up for my digital course. So I was doing webinars to no one, sending the
Yeah.
replays to no one, right? And so now 7 years, it's the year of the snake this year, which is like a shedding of old skins. And I can't tell you how I feel like that's truly happening to me. Like after 7 years of sobriety, I am the phoenix who has risen from the ashes. Like I have burned down that past. And then there's this myth that like your cells turn over every 7 years.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you don't know me sober, you don't know me at all. Like I'm literally a brand new person now.
Yeah.
And sobriety is not what I thought it was. I thought it was sad and deprivation and boring and all those questions I had for those people that didn't drink. And it's beautiful. It's the best path to yourself. It's the most glorious, adventurous life you could have. And feeling every feeling on the spectrum of emotions, that's what we're alive for. It's not all rainbows. It is a lot of rainbows and unicorns, truly, is how I feel.
Yeah.
But I'm a positive person, but it is a lot of that. The depth of my relationship to my own wounds and my own sadness and my own grief is the depth of my healing and compassion for others. So I choose it every day and I love it. And that's why I'm here to spread the good word.
So you referenced a lot the anxiety that you had when you were drinking. Do you still, is that still, I'm not, like people have anxiety,
Right.
for all different reasons.
Yeah.
Is that still as prominent as it was when you were like at the height of your drinking?
Yeah, such a good question. No. Short answer, no. So a few things. One, I was on anxiety meds and I was on high blood pressure medication, and I'm not on anything now. And I don't need anything. My health, my labs, everything has improved. And anxiety, so I rev high a little, you're right? Like I have, I'm a little hypervigilant. I'm a little, we all have our protection skills. We probably have trauma in our background, like all the things. So I wouldn't say I'm breezy and chill because that would be a lie, but I don't have the anxiety that I had when I was drinking. It is gone. And when I do feel anxiety, I have tools, I have coping tools.
Right.
And so the thing about alcohol is it increases anxiety. And we don't know that because it starts with a softening of your brain. We do it to take the edge off, right? And a lot of us we're really loud inner critics. We are perfectionists. We are people pleasers. We are high achievers. We demand a lot from ourselves. And having a glass of wine kind of softens that voice. So it feels helpful and it feels like it's relaxing because it's actually like slowing our systems down. It's slowing our brain down. It's changing our mood, judgment, decision making, intuition. It's fuzzying all that up a little bit. So it feels like a come down. But after that, it's spiking your anxiety. So that's why you're waking up at 3 a.m. and you're terrified of what you've done, or you're embarrassed, or you're panicked, or because it actually overall is increasing your anxiety. Now, pretty soon after drinking day after day, even a little bit, I also want to make this clear, like even drinking in moderate, I'm not here to be the bad guy for sure, because I loved alcohol more than anybody, but drinking even in moderate amounts, it has like a huge effect on your systems. And so anxiety is major, and anxiety and drinking don't mix. Like if you're already anxious, it's spiking that so high.
So I notice a difference because I go through phases where we went away and I had a drink every night and I was like, this is a vacation thing. Yeah. And then I came home and it wasn't just a vacation thing. It was, like I was like, I've got to finish this bottle. Like I've got this bottle, I've got to finish it. And it wasn't just one glass. And then because one glass eventually turns to two. Okay. And I noticed, so the most physical aspect I know is like bloating, like go to the gym to work out in the morning. I'm like, my clothes don't fit me the way they fit me before. But then also I hate feeling out of control. And I hate feeling filled with shame. And I would wake up in the morning, not every time, but when it turns into this like pattern of, just drinking, those are the things that I notice most when I am in those cycles. And so I understand.
Totally.
Probably.
So that shame. So I think it's the thinking about drinking, right? It's not just are you having a drink or not? It's the thinking about it. And my mind was hijacked by drinking because I was thinking about it all the time. When I was going to get it, how I was going to consume it, how much I was going to have, how much I was not going to have, when I was going to do it. It's like, and then you have what's called cognitive dissonance, where you want to drink, but you don't want to drink. You want to quit drinking, but right now you want to drink.
Yes.
And so this is a war within. This is an internal war that you are fighting all day. Am I going to drink today or not? I had a little too much last night. How can I punish myself for that? Should I run to sweat it out? And should I hate myself and beat myself down? Should I just make really healthy food and just try to get back on track, right? Mm-hmm. Should I pray? Should I maybe just have a drink because I don't really like the way I'm feeling about my drinking right now? So maybe I could just tune that out.
I know what's going to work here.
Yeah. So this constant thinking about drinking. And then I had one, is that okay? Well, it's Tuesday, but what if it's Thursday or Friday or my friend is here or, I don't have to get up tomorrow or give myself a break. I want to give myself a break. And then shoot, the bottle's gone. Should I put it in the recyclables or do I leave it here? Or maybe I don't want anyone to know that. Maybe I forgot that we watched that last night. I've already seen, maybe I forgot. Maybe the end of the night is a little fuzzy with whatever our conversation was when we were on vacation. So is my husband mad at me or not this morning? I don't know. Maybe I just won't bring it up and I'll just pretend everything's fine. Or if he's mad at me, I'll be twice as mad back at him to let him know that he's the problem once again. Right. Yeah. And so it's that game. It's that war. It's that internal war. And it's hijacking you. And I would just say to anybody listening, you have dreams and goals and desires that are so much bigger and better than I'm going to try to drink a moderate amount. That's so much energy when you could be literally building your dreams. Mm-hmm. The cool thing that happened was I started my company, Ditch the Drink, from that bonus room office that I was supposed to be drinking in. And the first night I went out on a Friday night, I had pizza with friends and I wasn't drinking. The guy laughed and was like, "Oh yeah, right. Okay." And then we ordered Diet Cokes and he was like, "Oh no, really?" I'm like, yeah. And then a year later, he's a lawyer. I said, "Can you set up my business? Because I'm starting a business." And I didn't expect him to believe me. No shade to him, because how many times have I said I was going to quit drinking?
Right, sure, yeah.
But
really, this time I'm done.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't blame him for his response. That was a totally appropriate response. But I knew in my heart of hearts, even though it was day 3 for me, that this was going to be different than every other time. And it was. And then I started it felt like a victory lap, to start that business from that closet. And it was called Ditch the Drink, which just came to me because I think I wanted it to be ditched, but that was taken. So Ditched the Drink it was.
Yeah.
And I remembered as a child, I was a latchkey kid, right, in the 80s and raised by a single mom. And my parents divorced by the time I was 3. And when I got home from school and waited her to get home from work, I had a pretend business from my closet at the time because that's where I felt safe at home alone. And it was just me and my cat. And my business was called Dare to Dream. And it was a journal work to help people live their best lives. And I'm like, it was only my cat that was my client. So I was in the business of helping cats live their best lives. But I was like, DTD, Dare to Dream, from my closet. DTD, Ditch the Drink, from my closet. This is who I'm meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the word? Serendipitous? Is that the right word for that? I
was like, make your 3rd grade self proud. And your 3rd grade self wasn't drinking and she had so much fun in her life. You have to remember that. I don't know where it got off track or where it got clouded for anyone or when they started to question this or that, or it came in, it was probably meant to be a solution. For me, it was meant to be a solution, right? It was a way to connect with people. It was social life. It was party. It was a way to get boys to like me. It was a way to not be at home and not be bored and figure out what to do and have a good time. And then it turned into a way to help with my sales job and, a way to be part of the corporate career, and a way to make friends in a new city. And it was always meant to be a solution. So it's resourceful. If anybody's found alcohol and it's been a solution, You are a brilliant, resourceful person. I don't blame you. I
Yeah.
do blame alcohol because the first you take a drink, then the drink takes a drink, and then the drink takes you. That is the story. And it can
Yeah.
take a short period of time or a long period of time, depending on what's going on in your life and who you are and what your makeup is and what your situation is and what you're drinking about. But that's alcohol's doing its job and your body is doing its job. There's nothing wrong with you. Waking up with a hangover, that's your signals that your body's saying, this is a toxin, everybody out, right? Like
Yeah.
first
Right.
systems go is like, we need to stop everything and get this guy out of here because this is a toxin. So that shows up as bloat and headache and nausea and dry mouth and, the whole
Yep.
thing. So,
Yeah.
and shame and anxiety, it is meant to do that. That is literally what it does to your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So couple that with the physical thing that's happening with any of your emotions about that because you
Yeah.
stepped outside of yourself a little bit and you know that, or you said something you didn't mean, or because it lowered your inhibition, or it changed your judgment and your
Yeah.
decision making and you made a bad choice or said something you
Yeah.
regret or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's a shame spiral and it's a terrible way to live. And I did it for a decade. So I know that. And I think people are afraid to address it. I was. I was terrified to address it.
Or do you get a lot of women that come to you and they say, I don't know if I have a problem?
Yeah, people come to me with all sorts of things, but very common things I hear. I offer a complimentary call to anybody and it's no pressure and just tell somebody you're worried about like I did. Like, it didn't work out with that therapist, obviously, but it started me down a path.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say, call me and say it out loud. And that's it. Just do it.
Yeah.
It'll start you on a path to just say it out loud to somebody. And if you don't have somebody in your real life or you want to keep it private from, you don't have the words
Yes.
for it yet and you don't want to make promises, big declarations, and you're scared to say it, call a stranger and the internet and say, I'm afraid I might be drinking too much. It's okay. The question I asked myself was, is it that bad? And it was never that bad because a policeman didn't tell me to quit. A lawyer didn't tell me to quit. A doctor
Mm-hmm.
didn't tell me to quit. So it was not that bad. So for a long time, I was waiting for the qualifier to say, you have to do an outside source to say, you have to do something about this. It's that bad. And as
Right.
long as it wasn't that bad, keep drinking.
Right.
Right?
If nobody's saying anything, then it's not a problem.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, but that's the wrong question to ask. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I minimized and normalized my drinking because that was my self protection for a long time. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm only recently coming to like, it was that bad. And it was that bad because I was going to bed. I was missing memories. I was missing time with my kids. I was showing up foggy, buzzy, hungover to my life. I was
Mm-hmm.
not taking good care of myself. I was not loving myself. I was punching myself in the face figuratively, like every
Sure.
morning saying, look, I was hating myself.
Yeah.
And hating yourself is that bad. There's
Yes.
nothing worse
Oh,
than that.
yeah.
You don't have to put your car around a pole or get a diagnosis to say it's that bad.
No.
Waking up and hating yourself is bad enough. You qualify in, you get to address it. And you don't have to call yourself an alcoholic. You don't have to have words for it. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
say, I'm never going to drink again. You can just go, this might not be helping me. This tool that I've had my whole life that I thought I loved might not be helping me. And I'm willing to start to explore that.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. And most women call me and say, I want to have a drink when I'm out to dinner once in a while. My dad's an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
I'm like, okay, wonderful. And through working with me, they go, I actually don't want to drink anymore. This isn't helping me, and I go,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And then we talk about, I say, what's the real goal? And typically the real goal is freedom from alcohol, freedom
Yeah.
from the thinking about drinking all day long, right? Even if you're only
Mm-hmm.
drinking in the you don't have to be pouring vodka at 9 a.m. like Meg Ryan and When a Man Loves a Woman or whatever. Even
Mm-hmm.
if you're only drinking from 7 to 10 at night or something, 5 to 9 or whatever, you're
Yeah.
thinking about it all day, right? Like, when are you going to get it?
Yeah.
How much
Is
you
it time
have, how
yet?
much you're going to have,
Yeah.
how much
Yeah.
you're going to drink, when you're going to open it, do you have carpool or not, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. If you really want freedom from alcohol, I go, is having a drink, does having a drink once in a while bring you that? And some people explore that, right? And I go, I've moderated too. I've moderated successfully a lot. So have you. We are capable of that. We have done that. And I go, okay, when you have 2 drinks on that night out, if you have 1 drink at dinner, whatever it is, that's what you're setting up for yourself. How does that make you feel? And I'll tell you, for me, that makes me feel like I am not getting as much as I want. And that sounds like deprivation to me. That sounds like a miserable life. And if I've had 1 drink and I have a 3-hour dinner, and now I have to sit here and not drink and watch everybody else drink and wonder, could I just get 1 more? It's kind of a big occasion. How long are we going to be here? Could I just have my extra glass of wine for dessert? Like, the whole dinner, I'm thinking about drinking. I'm not there with my people. And when I arrive, where's the waitress? This is taking too long. Let's get our drink order in. I am not settled. I'm not enjoying my company. I'm not. Drinking a little bit is not freedom from alcohol for me. And I've done it all. I've overdrank. I've moderated. I've been on and off. And for me, not drinking at all has been the wildest, biggest, best adventure of my life. But I didn't start that way. And if I wasn't allowed this freedom to explore and figure it out for myself, I would never be sober. And if I had to call myself an alcoholic, or if AA or rehab, which I was scared of at the time, now I would say those are probably really good options for a lot of people, including me. At the time I was scared, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if at the time, if you would have said those are your only options, I would have had death by alcohol probably, because I didn't want that. I would just keep drinking,
Yeah. Yes. And I think that there's a stigma associated with AA and with in 12-step programs. There's a lot of reasons people are resistant to them. I told you I had opened up a story asking if people had questions, and that was the question. How do I do this without joining a 12-step program? So there's a path forward.
There's so many resources these days is the great thing. So first of all, I'm not part of that program, the AA program and that 12-step program, so I can't speak to it. When I worked in that halfway house with those women, I drove them to their meetings and sat in, so I have an idea of what it is. But I have friends that AA has saved their life and continues to save their life. And I have people that love their meeting, and it's a women-only meeting or whatever, and who have made great friends and stuff. And I have plenty of people that don't use it at all. So me and my program, for instance, I always say I'm not your only resource, right? Like, I'm one of many resources, but throw the kitchen sink at it. Use every resource you can. So you might be listening to podcasts and have a coach and have a community and do a program and use this workbook and read that book and have a therapist and whatever you want. And you go for a run and you start to meditate and you journal and you learn self-care or addressing past issues, whatever it is for you. There's many paths, and they're as different as we are people. There isn't one right way. And so even in my coaching, what was right for me, I would never expect that every woman would follow my exact path. I custom curate with them what their path will look like and what has helped them. And coaching isn't giving advice or telling somebody what to do or handing over a cookie cutter program. It is deep questions to get people to their own ahas. And it's reflecting back what I hear. So mostly we all have these old tapes running in our mind that are telling us we're not good enough every single second. And when I can bring that out into the light and repeat that to a woman, she's like, oh yeah, I walk around with that, and it's like, then they start to replace the voice in their head with my voice. And my voice is a voice of compassion. And it starts to change things. And I always say, if you could beat yourself into better behavior, you would have already done it. If that was an effective way, you would have already done it, because you have woken up and beaten yourself up so many times. It has to change to a voice of compassion. And if you go to my Instagram, let's say, I have a before and after reel. And first of all, it's not a weight loss reel. You'll be shocked to hear that, because the vision looks very different from a drinking, bloated person to a healthier, more toned, fit, happier version of myself. There is no weight loss that happened there. The scale is the same. and which might be disappointing for some people. Plenty of people lose weight when ditching the drink. My husband lost 20 pounds when I quit drinking. Okay. So that's the way that goes. But I always say thank you to my before picture. Thank you to the bloated, tired, grief-stricken, brokenhearted person, because she was the one to take that first step out of that hole. She was the one that brought me here. And so loving and accepting yourself in your darkest moment, that's where it begins, truly. And it's okay to get help for that. Nobody has to do it alone. You can get support, a guide, right? Like somebody just went on a rafting trip. You wouldn't go on a whitewater rafting trip without a guide. You need somebody who knows the route. You need someone who can put a flashlight on the path. And that's what a coach can do. And that's what a community can do. So I personally resisted community in my own journey because I thought I wasn't like those. I didn't need it. I had friends, all that stuff. Well, once I surrendered in that way to them, was like, this is a specific thing. This is a specific journey, and I need people who understand this specific journey. It made the journey so much better.
Yeah. 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 What a difference.
Yeah. To have people go, I get it. I know. Same. Right?
Same. Yeah. I mean, with so much in life, when you feel alone, it feels like, well, I don't know what to do from here. I don't know what my next step is. But then once you realize they're you do get it. It just changes the way you think about it and you move forward. It's helpful and everything. So what does your program look like?
Absolutely. So I have a couple different options. The first thing I would recommend is I have a community, and that has an app. And I think it's small and it's women only. And so we do calls twice a week, and we do book clubs, and there's prizes, and there's challenges, and there's 30 plus master classes that are pre-recorded. And you want to learn about anxiety, you want to learn about sleep, you want to learn about sex and sobriety, you want to learn about moon cycles or rituals and routines or nutrition and health. And when you're ditching the drink, whatever it is, I've got it there. And if I don't have it, it's coming soon. So, and then there's an app. So we're in your pocket. So you can reach out and go, I'm having a hard time. Has anybody ever dealt with this? Or
right.
I love these alcohol-free drinks. What do you recommend? I don't want to waste money on bad ones. What are the good ones? Or does anybody meditate? Are there specific meditations? Or has anybody read, we call it Quit Lit, these books, drinking books, or not drinking books, or quit drinking books, or whatever. So just knowing you've got people in your pocket to reach out to. And then on our weekly calls, we dive into different subjects. I'm also trained in yoga nidra, so I often walk you through a grounding technique or a meditation. This week we went through a threshold of the past and the present and a return to self, and it was so beautiful. People were crying at the end in the best way. So start with community. I have a free trial. Start with it's called the Insiders. That's the best place to start. I also have free downloads, free guides, tons of free stuff. So start there. I have a 6-week digital class, which is 5 minutes or less a day, a video, a mini action that you can take each day to walk you through early sobriety. And again, it's so helpful because it tells you what to do, what to focus on, what to reflect on. You don't know what to do if you've never done this before. How would you expect yourself to know? Yeah. And I know because I've been there. So I talk about a craving, a trigger, the brain science. There's lots of education and that kind of knowledge power. So there's that. And then I do one-on-one coaching, and it's a 12-week program. One-on-one, we meet once a week for 12 weeks for an hour. And again, that's totally custom curated to the person. So typically it's not just about, we're doing more than tracking, are we drinking or not drinking? Mm-hmm. It's for a lot of people, it would be, I do really good not drinking, but then when I go out, I drink because I don't know how to make people around me uncomfortable.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know how to turn down a drink. I don't have language for this, or I don't know how to set a boundary. I just let my family walk all over me, and then I drink over it because I don't know what else to do. So we're working on boundaries, people please, whatever your issues are. And if you love podcasts, I'm going to recommend some. If you hate podcasts, but you like reading, I've got some recommendations. If you don't like any of it, but you love to stomp around the block, go for it, girl. Then you're going to text me and say, I did my stomping walk again today. I'm going to give you a thumbs up. There's unlimited text and email support with that program because in the beginning, you need a ton of support. So So yeah, 101. And then now I also, where I got trained and certified, I now recruit a lot of people work with me and then they get sober and then they want to become a coach. They want my path, right? So I also refer them to the program that I referred them to, and then I teach them how to start their own business. So I also have a business group of coaches and masterminds, and I do retreats. And my background is HR, so I actually go into workplaces and also talk about alcohol in the workplace and culture and happy hours. And I'm trying to make a change there. So if there's ladies listening, like, I think my work could use somebody like this, then I'll love to connect with you that way too.
That's fantastic. And then we'll put all of your social handles and your website in the show notes. But do you want to just give them to everybody really quick also?
Yeah, I'm Ditched the Drink. It's Ditched the Drink everywhere. You can find me on LinkedIn and Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook. I shouldn't say everywhere. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on Snap. I am going to be 50 years old. So there's only so much I can do.
You're very easy to find. Very easy to find.
Yeah, Ditch the Drink everywhere. My website is ditchthedrink.com. And I love to hear from you. Set up a complimentary call. Definitely just if you want to just talk about it, if you want to just say it out loud, I think that's a really good first step. You don't have to work with me to set up a call and just say, hey, I've kind of been thinking about this in the back of my mind and I want to talk to somebody, and I'd love to hear from you. Email me. I have a weekly newsletter and I'm an open book, as you can probably tell. So if you want to I know maybe a lot of inboxes are full of newsletters, but this one is like heart to heart, and you can always sign up for the newsletter as well.
Yeah. Excellent. Heather, thank you so much for coming on my show today. I really love this conversation.
Me too. I appreciate you so much. Heather squared. So much power in that.
I love that. I'm going to have to remember that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening. If you have questions for Heather, reach out to her. If you have questions for me, or if there's something else that you want to hear about, my DMs are always open, as you know. Talk to you soon. That's it for this episode. If you had fun, learned something, or just feel a little less alone in the chaos, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you want to keep the conversation going, come find me on Instagram at @HeatherMoves_, because midlife is way more fun when we do it together. Until next time, keep moving forward, or at least keep moving. See ya.